Okay, so let's continue over here in the Gemara on Yud Beis Amud Beis. Today, of course, is the third day of Tammuz, which is the Yortzeit. Actually, it's 30 years of the Yortzeit of the Rebbe. And actually, last night, or I should say early this morning, there were thousands, literally, of people visiting throughout the night and throughout the day. So, like, we came maybe to there about 10:30 or something like that. I didn't get home till 2 o'clock. So it was like about an hour and a half to 2 hour wait in the line just to get to go in for a minute. That's how many thousands of people walked through. So even though I'm a little bit on the tired side, did a lot of driving and not much sleeping, but a day like today, the 3rd of Tammuz, which is a special day to connect, with the Rebbe and with his teachings. And certainly, the Rebbe is happy that people learn Torah together. They study, make a kviyas, and Baruch Hashem, we're learning every Tuesday. So I didn't want to miss it, and so here we are. So let's see. I'll do the best I can to continue where we left off, and Hashem should help that we should utilize the few hours that is left of the day of 3 Tammuz, Gimel Tammuz, to realize that a tzaddik, a rebbe, especially a leader, even though he left this physical world, but he's still very much involved. And as the Gemara said, that it's in Halacha and it's in Chassidus that a leader, a true leader, does not neglect his responsibility. So therefore, the Rebbe is still taking care of us. He prays for us, and I was at the Oval yesterday. I prayed for everybody, and I'm sure that the Rebbe is doing his best to bless us all with our needs for health, happiness, and success in whatever we do. So we'll continue with our class over here. So the Gemara brings down that Rabbi Huna chotz dulei chatzda b'moyadei, that they sort of cut for him. I'm not sure why is this. I'll put some notes in here. But anyways, so this Rabbi Huna, they cut his field. In the field, he had barley. Barley, if you don't cut it at the time when it's ripened, when it's ready to cut, then there could be a loss of the entire crops. It happens that before Yontiv, the crops wasn't ready. It got ready on Yontiv. So it would have been lost. So Rabbi Huna, he cut. This is true for barley, especially as we'll see in the Gemara later on. As far as wheat goes, that doesn't necessarily hold true. Wheat, you can wait a few days, there's no loss there. But the chatzda, that barley, would get lost. So therefore, Rabbi Huna cut it on Chol HaMoed. Rashi teaches lemechzad, means liktor, that means to cut. Now, sometimes the Brisa will say later on that if you don't have what to eat, is a different story. I guess if the person is going to cut the barley and he's going to grind it and make himself bread or barley or whatever from it, that's an exception. But therefore, Rashi says, Rabbi Huna yesh loi ma yoichal havi. He had what to eat. And he couldn't say that the reason he was cutting the field was for food purposes, because he had food to eat. So the question is, V'amai shori lo, why did Rabbi Huna allow? Rabbi Huna didn't do it himself, but I guess the workers there did it for him. So why did he allow them to cut the anchalamoya, to cut the field, to cut the grain of the barley? Why did he allow it? So he was actually asked by his son, Eisvei Rabbo bar Rav Huna l'Rav Huna. So Rav Huna's son asked him a question. He's going to show that something which is connected to the ground has more stricter laws associated to it, that you're not allowed to cut from what's on the ground. He asked him a question because in the Brisa it seems to say that you're not allowed to do it. Does anybody know how to get rid of these pop-up signs that come up? Did you just see the pop-up signs, or all just me? I guess this McAfee pop-up signs, they're trying to protect you from
pop-up signs.
From pop-up, and then they keep on popping up. You know, it's funny. They're
no, it's really a virus. You got stuff in there. You got to find the .exe and get rid of it.
So they're bringing the virus to so that you can.
It's not McAfee. It's something else.
It's like somebody else. It's like the dentist giving you lollipops.
No, it's not. I don't think it's from them. You got it from something else.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to figure it out. Okay. Anyways, it keeps on annoying, interfering in the middle of my. Okay. Anyways, so Zog the Gemara. So Eisve Rabba Ravuna. So Rabba, the son of Ravuna, asked his father. Ravuna asked him a question from a Brisa. So in the Brisa it says, over there we'll see that to cut things that are on the ground, because that's sort of a big public act. He says we can't do that. So it says like this: Toichanin kemach b'moyed l'tzoydach hamoyed. If you need flour for the Yom Tov, go ahead and grind the flour. You can grind the flour. If you need flour in Yom Tov, what about v'shaloi l'tzoydach hamoyed? If not for the Yom Tov, you just want to grind up the grain for after Yom Tov, asur, then it's prohibited. Now, another thing is, davar she'avud b'moyed. If the item would be lost on Chol HaMoyed, and you have to do it, mutar la'asoseh b'moyed, then you are permitted to do it on Yom Tov. Davar she'eino yavud b'moyed, but if it's not going to get lost during Yom Tov, asur, then you're not allowed to do it on Chol HaMoyed. Zog the Gemara b'med dvarim amurim betlushim min hakarka. This is only said if it's not attached to the ground, it's detached from the ground. Then we say that you could do it on Yom Tov, even if it's a davar ha'avod that's lost. Avol mechubar lekarka, but something which is connected to the ground, afilu kuli avod asur. So even if it's going to be entirely lost, you're still not allowed to. So therefore, we see very clearly that attach things to the ground, to detach him from the ground, to cut him, even if it's a davar avod, you're not allowed to do. Why did Rav Huna allow for them to cut the barley? That's not considered to be, that even though it's a davar ha'avud, but since it's attached to the ground, you're not allowed to do it. Now, the Mishnah gives another allowance. He says, V'im ein loy mayochal. If he doesn't have what to eat, koitzer, then you can go ahead and cut. Koitzer, you can cut, uma'amer, and you can bundle v'dosh, you can thresh, v'zoyre, you can winnow, uboyrer, and you can sort out, v'toichen, you can grind, you can do everything. Even cutting you can do if you don't have what to eat. That's why Rashi said before that wasn't the case by Rav Huna. He had Rav Huna yesh lo mayochlav. He couldn't use the reason that he doesn't have what to eat because he had what to eat. But over here we see that to cut from the ground is prohibited, even if it's a davar avod. So how come he did it? And again, he doesn't have the reason that he doesn't have what to eat because he had what to eat. So how come he was allowed to cut? Yes. But there's one more halacha. It says over there in the Mishnah, it says ubilvad shelo yodush beporis. But provided that he does not thresh with cows. In other words, even though when he doesn't have what to eat, we allow him to cut and to thresh, but don't do it with cows, which means that's too public desecration. Do it in a quieter way, in a less public way. Even if you don't have what to eat, but that doesn't allow you just to do it in such a violation of the Chol HaMoed. But the bottom line question right now here is, in this brisa, it says clearly that even if it's lost, you're not allowed to cut from the ground if you have what to eat. But so how come Rab Huna allowed them to cut the field on Chol HaMoed? Amalei. So that's what his son asked him. Rabbi bar Rav Huna asked Rav Huna. So Rav Huna answered him, Amalei. I'm just assuming, I have to look, that that's his son. I mean, the way he's speaking to him, it doesn't sound that much, but maybe it was another Rav Huna. I don't know for sure. I just thought because Rav Huna, it must be his son. But Amalei, so Rav Huna said to Rabba that Yichidohi, that this brisa that says you can't cut since it's connected to the ground, when it's a davar avud, is an opinion of a Yichidohi. That's a singular opinion. Meaning that's one Tana holds that. That's quoted in this brisa from that Tana. But v'loi svira lon kabosei. we don't hold like him. In other words, we don't go by that opinion that you can't do it. Rav Huna says to his son, we don't go to Rabba, or he says to Rabba, we don't go by that opinion that you can't cut on Chalamay by a dover hovet. He doesn't know. Dr. Rashi Amarle, Hi, the Katan mechuber. Afilu kulei avod nami asur. Is that we learned that if it's connected, even if it will be entirely lost, it is asur. So we said, we quoted from the Brisa that you're not allowed to cut. That is Rabbi Yossi. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. And that's a singular opinion. We don't hold like it. Where do we see that Rabbi Yossi holds that you're not allowed to cut the field? So the Gemara says the Tanya. The Gemara brings another brisa that it's Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara says Klal Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Mishum Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel gave us a rule, but he gave it in the name of Rabbi Yossi. What does he say in the name of Rabbi Yossi? He says like this: Dover hatolush min hakarka. If the item is detached from the ground, afilu miksosei avud mutar, even only if it's partially lost, it's not a complete loss, but there's only partially lost, then it is permissible. It's permissible to do the whole thing. But va'mechubar lekarka, if it is connected to the ground, afilu kulei avud asur. If it's connected to the ground, even if it's entirely lost, it's prohibited. So this is Rabbi Yossi saying that if it's attached to the ground, even if it should be entirely lost, that would be prohibited. So that tells us that it's only according to Rabbi Yossi that we don't allow something which is connected to the ground if it's fully lost. And we already had in the beginning of the Perek about doing fields and plowing. We had a lot of different things which we were talking about detaching from the ground. Okay, so the Gemara says, how do we know? Why did Rav Huna allow to cut the grass? Because the opinion that you quoted in this brisa, and also in the Tanya, that it goes like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the one that is machmir. He doesn't allow, even if it's avod, if it's attached to the ground. But by this attached to the ground, he's actually mekel. He says, I feel a miksosi avod is mutar. So the Gemara asks now, so if this brisa goes like Rabbi Yossi, that it says Avol Mechubar is Rabbi Yossi, but according to Rabbi Yossi, you're allowed to do. Let's look inside. Frag the Gemara, but the Rabbi Yossi, if we're going to say, like you said, that brisa goes like Rabbi Yossi, the previous brisa goes like Rabbi Yossi, Yodush Nami Beporis. Let him also thresh with the cows. He didn't allow that in the Mishnah. In other words, if the brisa is not just going like Rabbi Yossi, so we can say that you need a shinui bedover ha'avod, that you need to make a change. So therefore, you cannot do it with the cows, the threshing. But if we go, the Tana holds like Rabbi Yossi, why should he not thresh the wheat? They are not connected to the ground. Let him use the cows, because Rabbi Yossi does not require any change, which we learned before. The Gemara says that the one who needs a change is not like Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara is asking like this. In this Braisa, it says you're not allowed to, even if you don't have what to eat, you're not allowed to you're not allowed to do it. So the Gemara is thinking, what is the reason why you're not allowed to do it? So you shouldn't do it in the usual way. And the Gemara's question is, well, if you just said that this Braisa goes like Rabbi Yossi doesn't mind if you do it the regular way. He doesn't. Rabbi Yossi is okay with not doing. So why should he not be able to thresh with the cows? That's the Gemara's question. Rabbi Yossi, if you're telling me now the reason why we're not allowed to cut because it goes like Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yossi doesn't allow by Dover Ha'av, even he doesn't allow, but the same Rabbi Yossi allows by a Dover Ha'avud, even without change. So why would you need? The Gemara thinks that the reason that he says you can't do it with the cows is because you need a change, and then there would be the cows is the usual way, and if you're going to do it on the Yom Tov with the cows, it's going to be done the usual way. But Rabbi Yossi doesn't need a shinu. We learned that. The Gemara said before, Man tana shinu b'moed b'dover ha'avod. Who is the one that holds that you have to make a change, a chalamoyed, if the item is lost? Is the like Rabbi Yossi. This does not go like Rabbi Yossi, because according to Rabbi Yossi, we don't need a change. So why don't we allow for the cows to continue doing? Why don't we allow the threshing through the cows? So you're not going to have a change. Well, we don't need a change if it goes according to Rabbi Yossi. If you did not tell me that the Braisa goes like Rabbi Yossi, so we can say the Braisa goes like Rabbi Yehuda. We can say the reason why you can't thresh with the cows is because you need a change. And there's no change, you can't thresh. But since the Braisa goes like Rabbi Yossi does not require a change by a dover of betolush. So why can't he do with the paras? And the Gemara answers, it's not about change. Why he's saying that you can't do with the cows. It's not like you can't do with the cows because you need to have a change. Because doing with the cows is not considered not a change. Doing with the cows. Omar Loch says, Hochinami kivon dechol yom lav beporis daishi. It's not the usual way to do it with the so you can't say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the reason why, let's say it doesn't go like Rabbi Yossi, and it goes like Rabbi Yehuda. So you're going to say, then you know why you can't do it with Poris, because you want a change. But not doing it with Poris is not going to be a change either, because you never do it with Poris. The Gemara says, Kiv on the Chol Yom Lav Beporis, you never use it. So this is also not a change. So what's the reason why we tell you not to do with the paras? Not because we want to change, because not doing it with the paras would not constitute a change, because we never do it with the paras. The reason why we don't want you to do it with the paras must be another reason, because it's just a big tumult to go ahead and bring cows and do it. Everybody knows it's a major desecration of the Chol HaMoed. Let's do the Rashi. Since every day they don't use to thresh, they don't use the cows. So now, if you're not going to use the cows, it's not going to be a change. If you're going to thresh without poris, that isn't going to be a change. So therefore, why don't we allow you? So therefore it goes like Rabbi Yossi. And he's the one that says, by Mechubar, we're not allowed to cut. The reason why we prohibit it by the cows, because since it makes a lot of noise, but it's nothing to do with the shinoi. So that Braisa goes like Rabbi Yossi. So basically, Ravuna says, the reason why I cut the field, because there's a loss, and when there's a loss, you're allowed to cut the field. In the Braisa it says you're not allowed to, Mechubar, but that goes like Rabbi Yossi, and we don't hold like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is a das yochid. We go by the other opinions that allow even by Mechubar lekarka if it's a davar of it, as we learned in the whole time in the whole Mishnah before. Okay, let's go on weiter. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in a Braisa. Toichanim b'moyed l'tzoyrech hamoyed. That you can grind on Yontev if you need it for Yontev. But v'shaloi l'tzoyrech hamoyed, also. But it's not for the Yontev. You're not going to use the Yontev. Then it's also, then it's prohibited. V'im tochan v'hoisir. However, if you grind it for Yontev and there's leftover, harizeh, then it's permissible. You can eat it after Yontev. You made it for Yontev and you had leftover, it's okay. V'im tochan zok Rashi b'moyed. If he grinds on Yontev, let's say the chamoyed for the Yontev, v'hoisir ad la'achar hamoyed, and he leaves over till after the Yontev, muter la'echloi achar hamoyed, you're allowed to eat it after Yontev. Even though when you grind it, it has to be for Yontev, but if you ground and you have extra, you can go ahead and use it after Yontev. The same thing is koitzitzim eitzim b'moyed l'tzorech hamoyed. You can cut down trees on Yontev for the purpose of the Yontev. You want to use the wood for firewood, so you can do it for the Yontev. But v'shaloi l'tzorech hamoyed, osur. But not for the purpose of the Yontev, then it is prohibited.
Is kotzetz to cut or to gather?
Well, I'm sorry?
Kotzetz means to cut?
Koitzitzim to cut down. Koitzitzim eitzim. To cut wood. Cut down, or I don't know, chop down if it's a better, what would be a better English language use?
No, that's it. I didn't. I some reason thought kotzetz was to just gather.
No.
Like things that are already on the ground, you pick up.
Vayimtzu, like it says in the pasuk, vayimtzu ish bekoishish eitzim. That was collecting the eitzim. That's mekoishish.
Kosher.
Here it's koitzitzim. Koitzitz is to cut, like cutting the nails, cutting. So you cut wood on Chol HaMoed for the need of Yom Tov, But v'shaloi l'tzorech hamoyed also. But if you're doing it not for the purpose of the Yom Tov, then it is prohibited. V'im katzatz v'heisir. But if you cut and you have leftover, Hareza mutar, then it's permissible. Same idea. Same idea is matilin shecher b'moyed l'tzoydach hamoyed. You can place the beer, I guess the process of the grains or whatever, how you're making the beer, you can place the beer on the moyed for the Yom Tov, for the to use on that Yom Tov. I mean, I'm thinking that it's probably talking about Sukkot, not on Pesach, because most of the time the beer might be chometzdik, but I don't know, not necessarily. But v'shaloi l'tzedek hamoyed, but not for the Yom Tov, then it's asur, then it's prohibited. Im hitul v'haisir, if he placed the beer and then it's left over, then hareza mutar, then it is permissible. You can use the beer after Chol HaMoed. However, ubilvad shelo yarim, the condition is not to make a trick, which means don't say I'm going to use it for the Yom Tov, and you're making a lot, you're going to really use it after Yom Tov. The condition we're allowing it to you on the understanding is that you're not going to trick and you're not going to use it on the Yom Tov. Dr. Rashi, he shouldn't make a lot, and he'll say that I'm doing it for the Yom Tov. So you're saying I'm doing it for Yom Tov, but then you have in mind so that it's left over for after the Yom Tov. That's this brayso. I will challenge you. I'll ask you a question from another brayso. It says, "Matilin shecher b'moed l'tzorech hamoed." You can put the beer on the Yom Tov for the Yom Tov, but shloi l'tzorech hamoed also, but not for the Yom Tov. It's prohibited. Echod shecher temorim, echod shecher sa'orim, whether it's beer of dates or beer of barley. So here you see you can have beer that is okay, made out of dates, or date or bear barley, the beer. Now, the Brisa says, even if he has older, he already has old beer by him. He can make a trick. He says, I want a drink from the new one. So he doesn't really have to do it because he has beer, but he says that he wants. What does Rashi say? What is Ba'id B'Shoyis Ben HaChodesh? Sheyoichal loymar, he can say, L'tzoydach hamoyed itiloi, that he put it in for the Yom Tov. He is saying, I put it for Yom Tov. So he can go, he has the old one, he can start making the one, even though he has the one, but he can say he does for the Yom Tov. Just want to see something here in the Gemara. So Lemer Shmuel. Okay, so he's good. And the Gemara answers Tanoi. This is a disagreement in Tanoim whether you're allowed to trick to make more, or you only have to make it mamish for the Yom Tov. Tanya, which says Ein Marim Mekach, you're not allowed to make a trick in this. You could make a trick. Okay, so there's two opinions. Whether you're allowed to say that it's for the Yom Tov and really keeping it for more or not is two opinions. Now the Gemara says, Rav Chotzdu Lei Chatzda B'cholu de Moed. they cut down the grass during Chol HaMoed. So again, a similar ma'aseh like with Rav Huna, that they cut down the grass or they cut down the grain during Chol HaMoed. Shama Shmuel, so Shmuel heard about it, that he's cutting the ikpet. So he was upset at him for doing that. Why was he upset? Well, we learned before that something which is lost is okay. Didn't we learn that before? That something which is lost. The Gemara said before that Rabbi Huna didn't care because the only one who says you can't do it was Rabbi Yossi, which was a singular opinion, but really we're allowed to. So Shmuel that allows it, shall we say that he holds like an individual like Rabbi Yossi? Why is he upset in Rab? Why is he upset in Rav? Rav did like Rav Huna, who followed the majority, not like the Chidah. So the Gemara Leim Shmuel, the Akpit ki Chidah that he holds like the singular opinion. Ki hahi mas nisin b'mechubar afilu kula of it namios, like the rice that we got down, that if it is connected, even if it's all lost, it's also. And we interpret that it goes like a Chidah. So why is Shmuel angry at Rav that he's cutting the field? It's a davar avud, and therefore he's cutting it. And the Gemara says, no, it's not like he holds like a Yossi. But Chadzdo de Chita Habe. This was a group. You're not seeing that pop-up just came up again. Chadzda, the Chiti, the Lav Seder. Chadzda the Chita. The grain there was wheat. Wheat can wait. Wheat does not, there's no loss over there. Rashi says, Chadzda the Chiti Lav Seder. Lochi Ikva. That's why he was upset. Avo b'Chadzda the Sari. But if you have wheat grain, it doesn't look like Rabbi Yossi that it's also, then it would be mutter because over there would be a pseida. If there's a loss, he's mattered. But the only thing is, by wheat there's no loss. But otherwise, he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yossi. You are allowed to cut, but it has to be a pseida. But since it was wheat and not barley, then there was no loss there. Frag the Gemara, but the Rav my time of it. So Akam Taka Rav, why did he do so? There's no loss. Why did he have to cut his grain on Chol HaMoed? And the Gemara answers, he didn't have what to eat. And when you don't have to eat, you can cut also. So even though he can wait, there's not going to be a loss, but he needed to eat. So he did so. So the Gemara says with Shmuel, so why was Shmuel upset if he was sowing the grain, he was doing the work because he needed it to eat? And so why is Shmuel upset with him? And the Gemara says, Lo simu kamei. They didn't finish it in front of Shmuel, tell him the whole geschichte, the whole story, that he doesn't have what to eat. They didn't say that he didn't have what to eat. And that's why he was upset. Inami, another answer, even if he did tell him, Adam Choshuv Shaini. A person who is important is different. He shouldn't even allow for eating if he needs it to eat. Adam Choshuv Shani, Rav loy Rav should not do it Even if he doesn't have what to eat, he should go to the store and buy something instead of cutting his field. But we shouldn't do that because he is an important person and he shouldn't do it. Says the Gemara that Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, Rabbi Yehuda Nosi, he did two things that were sort of raised the eyebrows. First of all, Nofak b'chumarto de medusha. He walked out in the chotzer with this chumarto de medusha. What's chumarto de medusha? Zek Rashi. Chumarto is like a ring. Tabas hisha matches. It's a metal ring. B'choismo shel almoig. What's an almoig? B'choismo. The chut moshel almoig. I don't know. I don't know what almoig is. What is almoig? It's a kind of a it's a spineless creature, which are like living flowers. But in any event, you have a picture, I guess, the seal of that, the medusha. The medusha means the seal of a whatever. What's the English name of it? Anthozoa. You see it in the anthozoa. I don't know. It's like a plant. But in any event, he went out with that on the medusha. So he went out with that into the courtyard, which means there wasn't an issue of carrying. Another thing, what he did, he drank water that was warmed up by a non-Jewish cook over there who was taking care. She warmed up water that she warmed up. That's what happened. Shomar Rabbi, so Rabbi heard, Ikpat, he got upset why he did it. Now, we don't know exactly what is it exactly that Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya did that got him upset. Amar Rabbi Yosef, why did you get upset? If it's because of the ring of that medusha, what's the problem? Hotane, but we learned in the Braisa that shirim, that's rings, nushkiya blas. Hanezomim, those are rings that go on the nose. And tabois, those are bracelets. So you have all these different kinds of jewelries that is mentioned over there. So it says, Harehain, they're not muktzah. They're like all other kelim that you can carry in the courtyard where there's an erev, there's no problem. You can carry them. So what did he do wrong by carrying that ring of Al-Moigog? What did he do wrong? There's nothing wrong in carrying it to the chutzah. They're not muktzah. Ella, what are you going to say? Imishum di ishtamayo, the achim, kafei larmo. But is it because he drank the water that was warmed up by a goyish cook over there? But how much more Yitzchak Marav? But didn't Rabbi Yitzchak say in the Rav There's no bishul akum if you can drink it, if you can eat it as is. Kol shenechal kameshul chai. If you can eat it as it is raw, ein boy mishum bishul akum. Ein boy mishum bishulin achri. We don't apply here the law of being cooked by a Gentile, by bishulin achri. And since we're talking about water over here, so what's the problem that she cooked it for him? Rashi, kol shonechel k'moishel chai, umay shosu inshi k'moishehem. Water people drink as is, so there is no bishul akum. So why did he get upset? Either way, he shouldn't get upset. Doesn't seem like he did anything wrong. And the Gemara answers, Odom choshev shani. A person who is a important person is different, has to be more careful, is not allowed to, shouldn't do these things. And why? So Rashi says, Odom choshev shani. What does this mean? So Rashi says, Yesh lo lahachmir alatzmei yoser. He needs to be more stringent on himself. Lo yahavele lemipek b'chumarto de medusha. He should not have gone out with this ring of medusha. Lo lemishte mayim da'achim kefilo. Not to drink this water, because I guess maybe some other people will take it out to the other place. It's not something that he should do. Not the ring over there, and not the water to drink. That was.
Isn't the issue with the water the heating of it?
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't the issue with the water the heating of the water that someone?
Yatz boy.
Or that
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. In this case, it wouldn't matter because it's not considered cooked by the goy, because it can be, water is not something that the goy doesn't improve the quality. It's just heating up water, cooling off, and heating it up doesn't do anything to the water. So there's no change.
Well, but the action of lighting a fire to heat the water.
Well, here was not the issue. Was not the, but lighting the fire would help you, so that it shouldn't be cooked by the goy. Everything was done by the goy, but she lit the fire. She did everything, but it's not called bishul b'chalal. It's not. This is not. Bishul doesn't apply here, because by water it's nechal k'moishehu, and it doesn't change over here, so that wouldn't apply. So there was no issue over here. Amar Rab Chanan al-Marav, says Rab Chanan al-Marav, koitzitz odom dekel b'moyit. A person can cut down the entire palm tree, huge tree on Yom Tov. Even though he only needs the splinter, needs small pieces of wood that come down, he's cutting down a whole tree, so he's doing the whole malacha on Chol HaMoed for something small. The Nesoidis, Rashi says, Eitzim dakim shenefti menachaticha. Those are the small pieces of wood that fall from the cut. He needs them, so he's cutting down the tree. Layit alo Abai. Abai cursed this, because it's not reasonable to go ahead and cut a whole tree just for a little bit. The one who says that Abashi Havale Abba Bishal Nayo. He had a forest in the place called Shalnaya. Abba Zakrashi is a yar. Bishal Naya, Pirush Shema'ir, that's the name of the city. He had a forest in Loimar. Hoyo lo yar boisemokim. He had a forest in that place. So so he went to cut it down on Chol HaMoed, that forest, the tree. Omerlei Rav Shimla B'Shalanayo, the Rav Ashi. So Rav Shimla from Shalanayo says to Rav Ashi, "My daitoch, what is your opinion?" The Omar Rav Chananel Omar Rav Koitzitz Odom. So he's saying to him, Rav Ashi is going to cut it down. So he's saying to him, what do you think? Because the Omar Rav Chananel Omar Rav Koitzitz Odom Dekel b'moed alpha pishet zorach is Sodas Shaloi. Is that what you're thinking? But Holayit Allah Abaya, but didn't Abaya curse already for that? So that's not a good reason to go ahead and do it. Amalei Loishmieli. I didn't hear about it. And what means I didn't hear it means I don't buy into it. So the Gemara says, Ishtamit Narga. So the hammer slipped, or the axe slipped. It was about to chop off his thigh. It fell on it because, as Rashi says, because he disobeyed the ruling of Abaya. Shtamit Narga. So the axe slipped. He was going to chop off his thigh. Rabashi, why? Because he violated Abaya. So he left it, and then he came back after Chalamoid. So he came back, so he left it. He saw that he almost had an accident, and that was because he was going against what Abaye told him. So he left it, and then he came back. So the Gemara, the Rabbi Yehuda Shoro Lemekar Kisno, to pick up, uproot that's flax on Cholamoyed. They're allowed to make a kisna. Ulemikatal kishuso, to kill, meaning to cut down the kishuso. Ulemekar sumsumen, and to uproot the sumsumen, the poppy seeds. So, Amalei Abai Rabbi Yosef. So Abai says to Rabbi Yosef. So Bishlei Kisna, I understand that you're allowing them to pick those flax plant, Chazi Lachafifa, that's fit to cover food, yontif, to keep it warm, I guess, the cotton, that keeps it warm. Kishuta, they used to use to make beer out of it. Chazi Lashikra. You can do that. What are the poppy seeds? It takes a long time for them to get fitting to do anything. What is it? And the Gemara answers, Chazi Lenoi the Izbu. Not Noi, I'm sorry. Benazia. That's those are the seeds that they have. They're seeds, and you can make oil out of them. So there is some use for them. Finally, Rav Yanai Havaleah Upardesa, the Motazimna B'Chala the Moed, that it came time it ripened the Chala Moed. Katve, so he cut it down. The Shana Abo, next year, next Lashana, Shayu Kulam Pardesel Chalamoid. So the people left their orchard. They wanted it because they had time on Chalamoid. They wanted to cut it on Chalamoid because they saw Rav Yana do it. So the Gemara says, that year he made his orchard ownerless. He gave up his orchard because he felt that he was the one that made the stumbling block for people to go ahead, and everybody left their work to cutting down the pardesim for that year. Okay, we'll leave it here. Just one more, one more word about Gimel Tammuz, about the third day of Tammuz. And, a lot of people predicted that after 30 years ago, that somehow Chabad is not going to survive. And you see that it's grown. You see the Rebbe's work continues to grow. So I'm reminded about when the raid of Entebbe took place. Bibi Netanyahu's brother died. He was the commander of that rescue. But he died right in the beginning of the rescue. And yet everything, as we know, the great miracle, the whole world was in amazement. And at his eulogy, the chief of staff said that a good mifaked, a good officer or commander is one who he trains the soldiers so well that they know what to do even after he passes. So even though that he died after the raid immediately, but yet they were able to successfully finish the mission. And we can say a similar thing is that the Rebbe put in so much energy and so much effort that even after the Rebbe's physical parting from this world, the Rebbe keeps on guiding, and people continue to live with the Rebbe's message, the Rebbe's inspiration. The only difference is when the previous Rebbe left this physical world, he left us the Rebbe. But the Rebbe didn't let us anybody up here. But we'll stay strong, and we hope and we pray that Mashiach will come, take us out of this predicament, and bring us Mashiach Tzidkenu, Yibana Beis Hamikdash b'meir v'yameinu, Seichel Kenu b'serusacha. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Rabbi.
See everybody
Thank you,
next
Rabbi.
week in Mitzvah Shem, same time, same station. And should hear only good news.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.